Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with me today. My name is Erin, and I'm a graduate assistant at the Texas State Counseling Center, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about social media and mental health and how they go together and contribute to one another. So we can go ahead and get started with the presentation. And in today's presentation, we're going to talk a little bit about social media, what that means, kind of define it, talk about it a little bit, reflect on it. And also we're going to talk about and define mental health, what this means, a definition for it, and reflect on that a little bit. And also we're going to talk about and think about some strategies for balancing the two and how we can practice good mental health while also being able to use all of our favorite social media channels that we love so much. And so in this presentation, there's a couple moments where I will ask you to pause and reflect on what the statement means to you or what the question means to you, and just take a second and think about that. You don't have to write anything down if you don't want to. Just keep that in the back of your head during this presentation today, okay? All right, so we'll go ahead and get started by talking a little bit first about social media. So what is social media? And the first little reflection point that I have is, how does social media provide value in your life? And so maybe what are you gaining from using social media platforms? So just take a second and think about that quickly. Okay, so now that we've thought about that for a second, I'll go ahead and give you the technical definition for social media. And so social media is the collective of online communication channels dedicated to community-based input, interaction, content sharing, and collaboration. And so I know that's a very technical definition, but basically it's just kind of saying that it's an online communication channel that's focused on input and interaction with some sharing and collaboration in there as well. And so how do you use social media? You can think about this as well. I have some of the most popular ones on this page, such as Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and YouTube. We also can add Twitter, TikTok now. Vine's a little bit outdated, but Vine up there, and Pinterest. So there's a plethora of different social media channels that we can use and do use. So moving on, just take a second and reflect on why you use social media. So just think about that for just a moment. Okay, so on the bottom down here, I have some of the reasons why I tend to use social media. Just some examples. Maybe you feel the same way. Maybe you have a couple different ideas, but some of the ones that I have is to connect with others. So maybe friends that you don't see or aren't able to see every day, just keeping up with them and what's going on in their life. Some major events that they have, maybe posted on Instagram or Facebook, just keeping up with some of your friends. Also family that you maybe aren't able to see every day, or live in a different state, or family that you aren't necessarily that close to, but they're still important to you. Just keeping up with them, connecting with them. And also colleagues. So maybe you've worked with some people at a different job, or just some people that you know that you're not necessarily friends with, like you wouldn't pick up a phone and give them a call or text them, but you're still interested in what they're doing, how their life looks, and maybe you will have the opportunity to reconnect if you move back to that city or state or wherever you know these people from. So just connecting with others, keeping updated in others' lives, and being able to keep other people updated in your life as well. So it goes both ways. Also to follow inspirational accounts, and so following some positive, maybe like motivating quote accounts on Instagram, or liking a positive page on Facebook, maybe a workout page on Instagram as well, following them. So just following some of those inspirational accounts on different platforms. And also entertainment. This one's a big one for me. Sometimes I'm like, I'm kind of bored. I'm just going to pick up my phone and scroll away on Pinterest. Maybe I'll find a yummy recipe to make for dinner, or see what this person is up to. I haven't talked to them or thought about them in a while. So just kind of using it for entertainment as well. So these are some of the big three things that I've heard from other people and that I find myself using social media for as well. Okay, so we're going to transition just a little bit and talk about mental health and what this kind of is. So just take a second and reflect on, what does mental health mean to you? So this doesn't really have to be a textbook definition, but just kind of in your head, what does mental health look like? What does mental health feel like? How do you define mental health? So I'll give you a few more seconds to think about that. Okay, so once you have this, just keep that in the back of your head as we're going through this presentation. And so, not necessarily a textbook definition, but just in general, what good mental health can help us to do. And so, good mental health can help us to recognize, show, and cope with good and bad feelings. And so, having good mental health can help us realize that these are feelings. We have good ones and we have bad ones, and we need to recognize, show, and cope with them in an appropriate way. One of my favorite quotes that I've probably ever heard any of the clinicians at the counseling center say is, feelings aren't good or bad, they just are. And I think that's really powerful to recognize in good mental health, that this feeling that I'm having isn't good, it isn't bad, it is just a feeling, and I need to work through it and process it and show it and cope with it as well. And so, good mental health can also help us to build successful relationships with others, build supportive and positive relationships with others that have open communication. Good mental health can also help us to feel confident and good about ourselves, give us that little boost of confidence, and help us just to feel good knowing that we're doing enough and that we are enough and that we're an amazing person as well. Good mental health can help us to cope with change. And so, if you're going through a change, relying on your mental health to recognize that this is just a change. It may be overwhelming right now, but it will get better in the future. And just in general, good mental health can help us to develop and thrive as an individual and just be the most successful individual that we as a person can possibly be. And so, this is just, you may have had some different ideas of what good mental health looks like or feels like to you, but these are some just generic things that good mental health can help us to do in our daily lives. Okay, so we're going to talk just a little bit on how social media actually affects and impacts this mental health that we have talked and thought about. And so sometimes this list right here is mostly for improper or excessive usage of social media. I'm not saying necessarily that if you use social media, you will find yourself feeling these ways at any point in time, but for the most part, this is just kind of excessive usage or improper usage of social media. And so maybe using it a little bit too much, maybe relying too much on it, things like that. So sometimes we can see some decreased self-esteem. And so it is kind of hard when you're looking on social media platforms, whether it be maybe Instagram or Pinterest or something with a lot of pictures like that, just feeling a little bit down about yourself. You're like, this person has a perfect body, they have amazing muscles, they're very toned and fit, and I don't feel like I look like that. It can be hard to kind of fall into that trap of seeing that. And so we can see some decreased self-esteem with too much social media usage or putting too much pressure on the social media platforms. Also a little bit of anxiety. We're seeing people's perfect lives, their pictures, and it can make you feel a little bit anxious. Like, why don't I look like that? What am I not doing? What am I doing wrong to not look like this? So it can feel, we can have some little anxious bursts if we're using social media in that capacity. Also going along with this, depression and depressive symptoms. And so it can be easy to fall into the trap of feeling a little bit down about ourselves if we're not exemplifying what we see on some social media pages. Also, going along with this, a little bit more common is feeling a lack of personal connection with others. And so maybe we're relying on social media or social media platforms to make friends. This is how we make friends, or this is strictly how we communicate with our friends is on social media. And so using it too much can definitely create a lack of personal connection with others. Also, sometimes seeing some symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And so maybe feeling like you have to be on your phone 24/7, or you can't concentrate on your classes or your homework because you feel like you need to be on your phone and checking those social media platforms. And so we can see some symptoms of this as well. And going along with that, also addiction to social media platforms. And so maybe you can't stop scrolling on social media. Maybe it's really late and you have a test in the morning and you're just feeling like you cannot put down your phone. You have to see what happens next on your social media platforms. You can't stop using them. So these are some of the ways that we see that social media affects mental health and how it can be somewhat detrimental. So diving a little bit deeper into these are unrealistic expectations. And so like I said, on social media, we're seeing people's picture perfect lives with their picture perfect relationships and their picture perfect bodies. And this kind of leaves us wondering, like, where does that leave me? And so just take a moment to reflect on how this kind of makes you feel, how it could be, how you see it could be detrimental to mental health. We'll just take a second. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of this, and going a little bit deeper on this topic as well, depression and social media. So we have seen a causal link between social media and feelings of depression or loneliness. So like we've been saying, there's a little bit of a upward social comparison. So we can find ourselves comparing ourselves to others and our peers, maybe how they're looking, what their life looks like, and maybe why we're not on that same track. Also, most very common is having FOMO, or fear of missing out. And so maybe you see some of your friends that are hanging out and you necessarily didn't get the memo or the invite that they were all going to be together, and you're feeling left out and like you're missing out. Maybe they're having the best night of their lives. They probably aren't, but maybe you're feeling like this and you feel like you're missing out on this time with your friends. Also, a dependence on affirmation. And so we're dependent on how many likes our picture gets or how many retweets our tweets get, things like that, feeling that affirmation from our social media platforms. And like I talked about a little bit before, the inability to disconnect. And so maybe you find yourself scrolling on social media for hours and hours and hours and not being able to disconnect from your phone and put that social media app away. So we've talked about a lot of things that maybe can play a part in our mental health, how it's being affected and impacted by social media, but we have some really good ideas of how to cope and how to process this and work through it. And so the first idea that we have on here is to develop successful in-person relationships. And so this is really focused on communicating and being present with people in person. So really working to have those relationships and connections with people that you can see and people that you can be around, and interpersonal relationships. Very important, absolutely. Going down to my left bottom is finding an active activity. So going outside and doing something active, either alone or with a friend. So kind of working on both of those skills together. Being active, going outside, and also developing in-person relationships as well. So working on two of them at one, being active with a friend. Another one that we have on the top there is to limit social media time. And so setting a very strict limit for yourself on how often you check and engage with social media platforms. And so really holding yourself accountable to this limit. I know on Apple, and I'm sure on Android, so that you can download certain apps that don't allow you to use other apps, maybe if you're studying or if you've just been on social media too much. utilizing some of these apps in order to limit your time on social media. And I know on Apple you can go into the settings and see your screen time, how much you've been on your phone, and also what you're using your screen time for. So maybe it's just for checking your email, or maybe you have an increase of screen time using social media platforms. And so maybe setting a limit on how often you can check those social media platforms and how many times you can open that app. Also, another suggestion that we have is to practice positive affirmations, and so incorporate some of these positive affirmations to increase self-esteem, so maybe that you're not relying on some of the affirmations that you're receiving from social media. And so I know this sounds a little bit silly, but maybe in the morning when you're brushing your teeth or something, saying either out loud or in your head just a couple positive things to get your day started out right. Maybe saying that, I am enough, I am good enough, I am worthy, I deserve everything in life, I am awesome. So just saying a couple of positive things in the morning to start your day off right and increase that self-esteem. Okay. So diving a little bit deeper into this, it's important to not place values on other people's opinions. So avoid placing any type of value on the amount of likes, comments, followers, friends, or retweets that you have. This is an important step in not relying on social media for any type of value or affirmation. And a little fun fact we have down there is people only share the top 1% of their life on social media. And so when you're scrolling on Instagram and you see someone's perfect life with their perfect partner and their perfect boyfriend and perfect body, it's important to realize that they're only sharing the top 1% of their life on social media. And so you're not seeing everything that they go through during the day. This is just the best part of their life. And so it can be easy to fall into the trap of thinking that someone has a perfect life, but you're only seeing the top 1% of it on social media. Okay, so moving on, I have a nice little quote that I like to leave off this presentation off with. I'm just keeping in mind all of the strategies and suggestions that we have. And this quote is great. It says, "Mental health begins with me," literally, and it does begin with you. So it's important to keep your mental health at the front of your mind. Think about your mental health, how you're feeling, how you're doing, and moving on with positive and encouraging social media usage. So thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.